The European Union are to impose sanctions on the UK. Donald Trump's tariffs on the EU makes Brussels desperate. And we talk about the Remainers' reaction to Yorkshire Tea. Yeah, part of today's video is going to be about Yorkshire Tea and Brexit. If you haven't heard the news, make sure to watch the end of the video because we have some ridiculous story about Yorkshire Tea and Brexit. But obviously the trade talks are going to start officially very soon, and both the UK and the EU are preparing their positions. We have a leaked document from the European Union side that was obtained by The Guardian, which it doesn't really look good for the EU because I think they were supposed to be using it as a bluff. But it's actually now been leaked, probably on purpose. What they are trying to do is basically they are trying their best to make sure that the Brexit trade deal that happens, if it happens, because it's becoming unlikely, that the UK have to follow Brussels rules and regulations. Basically, we will be a member of the EU without being a member. And they have said that if we fail to shadow the EU rules, then we will receive some sanctions. So this is the European Union's reaction. What they've said that they now demand the right to punish Britain if the government fails to shadow the Brussels rule books in the future. This is in a scenario where we actually have a trade deal. They want the ECJ, the European Court of Justice, to have oversight. They also want us to basically, with the whole level playing field, to make sure that we can't become competitive as a country. Yes, Michel Barnier, the EU's chief negotiator, has now, in a leaked document, has written that this is a decision to make sure that the deadline that we have the 31st of December 2020, because they say there's not enough time, and they fear that Boris Johnson will be using this to get a last-minute bad deal for the EU and a good deal for the UK. So in order for them to protect their own protectionist bloc, they are planning to put sanctions in the UK if we don't follow their rules. I mean, firstly, it's a bit silly because that's only in a scenario where we have agreed to a trade deal, and I really hope that our government don't agree to any trade deal that will create this scenario, because obviously, yes, if we agree as a government to a trade deal that we have to basically shadow Brussels rules, then obviously if we don't, the EU could put sanctions on us. But luckily, we still have President Trump. Now, President Trump has issued some tariffs on the European Union. Now, this is actually helping the UK, and he's now said that he could even go further, because we already have had the impact of the US tariffs on the EU, and especially on France. Yes, the French wine exports to the US has now gone down by 44%, with a 40 million euros drop in sales. This is after President Trump imposing 25% tariffs on imports of French, Spanish and German wines last October. There's also going to be more tariffs on various other industries, especially obviously when it comes to France. So whilst America's tariffs on the EU is actually having a negative impact on the Eurozone, the economy, we at the same time, they are still trying to play the big boys game, and Ireland have now said that if this continues, we are going to ruin this potential trade deal between the UK and the EU. So I say, fine, do it. We still have WTO, and we've said this so many times that obviously the EU need us more than we need them. We'll be fine. We have America as an ally. We have other countries we could sign trade deals with. But at this point, it's about more than that. It's about the tariffs that the EU are getting from America, but they could also get it from the UK if there's no trade deal. So if Ireland wants to obviously block any trade deal, then fine, keep going. Yeah, this is according to the Irish Deputy Prime Minister, who said that if there isn't a progress on the infrastructure needed to implement the Irish protocol as part of the withdrawal agreement in the next few months, then I think that is going to be a very worrying signal for whether or not it's going to be possible to conclude something sensible before the end of the year. Now, one aspect of the difficulties when it comes to these negotiations are fisheries. Obviously, the UK want to have sovereignty when it comes to the UK waters. The European Union, bravely, they want to actually continue to have access to our side, and because they need to protect their own fisheries, especially when it comes to France. And we have actually Fishing for Leave, a campaign group exposing the hypocrisy of the European Union. Yes, according to Fishing for Leave, they've said that EU demands obviously to have access to 60% of Britain's fish for a deal. If we demanded the EU's oil and gas to allow BMW sales, then of course there will be an outrage from the European Union side. And they're absolutely right. If we come up with some demands about having access to something from their side, obviously they're going to be saying no. But somehow they want us to just say yes to anything that they come up with. This is coming at a time when they are already struggling in the European Union to come up with an agreement on their own budget. Because obviously the UK leaving the European Union has created a massive hole in the EU's budget, and so they've been negotiating, especially last Friday, and they couldn't come up with an agreement. Now we have a German politician coming out and actually attacking individual countries in Europe. The division is getting worse in Europe. Yes, this is Manfred Weber, who has accused the EU member states of acting selfishly because they can't really come up with an agreement. This is following last Friday, where they had their 2 days of meetings in the EU in Brussels to make sure that the EU 27 countries come up with an agreement to make sure that they have an idea to fill the 75 billion euro gap left by the UK's departure. So this just proves that not only they don't have the upper hand, they're already struggling to even keep their own ridiculous and stupid protectionist bloc. And this is why President Macron actually admitted that Boris Johnson is holding all the cards when it comes to the trade talks, specifically when it comes to fisheries. Yes, Macron has now admitted that Boris holds the fishing card, but warns that trade deal is unlikely by the end of this year because of this, primarily. And but at the same time, we had the French EU minister warning Boris Johnson over fishing and saying we have to have access and we have to basically have the UK obeying when it comes to our demands.
Demain, moi je vais à Bruxelles et tous les ministres des Affaires européennes, on retrouve Michel Barnier, on veut lui confier une mission. Maintenant, cette mission elle est très claire. On ne sacrifie là non plus pas nos agriculteurs, pas nos pêcheurs, pas nos entreprises. Vendredi, je serai à Londres parce que dans cette négociation, il faut aussi qu'on fasse bien comprendre aux entreprises britanniques ce qu'elles ont à perdre d'un mauvais accord. Après, ce qui est certain, c'est qu'on ne cédera ni au chantage, ni au calendrier. C'est pas parce que Boris Johnson veut un accord coûte que coûte le 31 décembre qu'on signera sous la pression un mauvais accord. Les pêcheurs, ils ont besoin d'être protégés. Mais ils savent très bien que si on signe un mauvais accord, ils y perdront énormément. Nous, notre bataille, c'est les pêcheurs, les agriculteurs et les entreprises.
I mean, I don't even know how to react to this. They know that we are in a better position. We now have a seat at the World Trade Organization. We are now going to be an independent country. I don't think they can come to us and demand things and then they say, if you don't follow it, we're going to put sanctions on you. What is this, Venezuela? So, at the same time, it's because in this country, in Britain, when we have the Labour Party, the Remainers, obviously taking the EU side instead of uniting and actually defending and supporting our own country, this happens. For example, we had the new Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, who was preparing his budget and his speech, and he posted on Twitter a photo of himself making a Yorkshire tea, and we had a massive overreaction from the socialist Remainers. Yes, this is Rishi Sunak, who said a quick budget prep break making tea for the team, nothing like a good Yorkshire brew. Now there's a massive series of overreaction from people, which resulted in Yorkshire Tea actually tweeting, nothing to do with us. People of all political stripes like our brew. Plus, there's no way we'd intentionally stick ourselves in a Twitter storm on a Friday afternoon. It's nearly home time. Now we're going to show you some of the reactions and how Yorkshire Tea and basically the press team on Twitter responded, which is absolutely brilliant. But let's just show the hypocrisy, because this is Jeremy Corbyn back in 2017 holding the same Yorkshire Tea bag, and no one actually complained. But luckily we have actually even some Labour MPs in solidarity actually defending Rishi Sunak, some of the good MPs and others saying it is just ridiculous. I don't even know why this is a story. Yeah, because a lot of the socialist Remainers have now called to boycott Yorkshire Tea. Actually boycott it. Imagine, like, there's a picture with Boris Johnson and a pint of beer. Does that mean we have to now boycott beer? Not in a million years. Yeah, this is a non-story, and I'm very it's hilarious, but it's frustrating that this has to be part of our kind of news segments. Even the mainstream media are reporting on this, but it is meaningless, but it's important because this shows the craziness of these socialist Remainers. Now we're going to show you some of the reactions and Yorkshire Tea dealing with them. There was a tweet from someone called Brendan who said, "Don't consort with Tory blank." Yorkshire Tea responded, "That's not how shopping works, Brendan. They don't ask how you voted at the checkout." And then we had Andrew Adonis, the chief Remainer, saying, "I've gone off Yorkshire Tea." And then Yorkshire Tea responded, "We could do with fewer politicians holding up bags of it. So this is a blessing in disguise." Another person said there will be thousands of Labour members and supporters who will be boycotting Yorkshire Tea until they confirm that they are not donors to the Conservatives and Boris Johnson. So obviously, why does it even matter? Yorkshire Tea do not donate to the Tory party, but why does it even matter? Why? Why are we even talking about this? I don't. But this is to show the craziness of the socialist Remainers. When we have, for example, at a Labour meeting, one of the Labour members attacking Labour supporters and working class, especially working class northern supporters, for abandoning the Labour Party and voting for Boris Johnson and the Brexit Party in the past. This is what I'm about to show you is kind of vile. It's a bit too much, but it exposes the true face of the modern Labour Party.
My question is, those traitors from the northeast, my descendants are turning in the graves because of voting for that bungling Boris, and I think he is a bungler, actually. With the grey suits behind him, using him like a puppet. My descendants are turning in the grave because of them traitors that voted for him. What is your strategy to get them traitors back, or do you want them back? And you're going to stick by your principles and forfeit power? Because I'd sooner be on a losing side of a decent party than on the winning side of who's in at the minute.
Now, two issues with this. One, she called them, like ordinary working class people from the north, especially northeast, traitors. And then she said, "What is your strategy to get these traitors back?" I don't think that language will help if you wanted to get these traitors back. Secondly, she basically expressed the whole, well, she showed the whole true sign of the modern Labour Party, especially with the Jeremy Corbyn side, saying we would rather be right from our perspective rather than win and actually exercise power. Well, good luck. Good luck in the next election. So this is the whole situation with the Labour Party and the European Union. They used to have a massive base in the UK Parliament when we had the Remainers controlling the UK Parliament. Not anymore. So this is actually good news. Things are going pretty well, and at this rate we are probably going to end up leaving on WTO terms without actually a trade deal, because I don't think Boris Johnson is going to be giving in. Hopefully. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, we're going to be reporting all this on a daily basis. If you haven't joined us yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click on that bell next to it. We have a daily show at 5:45 p.m. If you want to follow me on social media, Twitter and Instagram, you can find the details down here on the screen. As always, I'm Tousi. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.